Okay, so we've got the new one here, and as I was explaining, it just literally slides in. I'm trying to do this so the camera can see. It just pops into, there you go, and it's a nice little click. And now we've got the spring loaded bit. And basically it's now reassemble everything, so I've just got to put the little tiny screw, this is a really tiny little grub screw here, back in. Okay, just going to show you on the broken one. It's a bit tricky getting the stuff through the tube, purely because you've got this like a rivet thing here. It doesn't unscrew. I thought it did, but it doesn't. And basically, hopefully the camera will pick that up. You've got, it sticks in quite a lot, so you've got to try and get the cables around there. Once they're around, you then go to the other end of the tube. It does the same. You've got to feed them around both, so it's a little bit of a fiddle, but just to be aware of that. Okay, because of that little lug that I was saying, there's two of them, there's one at this end and one at this end. I've come up with a couple of ideas. Well, one idea seemed to work. A little bit of tubing. I mean, this just happens to be shrink wrap tubing, and obviously make sure it goes through the right way. So just into there. Make sure it clears that pipe. Trying to do this on camera again is going to be just destined to fail, isn't it? But there we go, and then just feed that through. So hopefully that makes sort of sense to you. It just keeps it out the way of the lugs, and then as you can see it's coming through at the other end. And hopefully I can feed that through. And just a couple of times I just have to slightly push it down just to avoid that lug. Once it gets past that lug, it's fine. There we go. Oh, it's a relief when it does that. And then right the way down to the other end, and you've got the same problem at the other end basically. But with the feed of the sort of pushing at one end and pulling it very gently at the other end. I mean, if you really wanted to, I suppose you could use heat shrink and just shrink it on so that it wouldn't come apart. So there we go. Let's get in there. There's me struggling with it, sorry. It's already through, so there we go. There we go. That's a relief to see, isn't it? And then just obviously just pull that through. It is slightly tight in there. And we've got the problem of getting the LED one through as well. So let's just get that around the right way. There we go. And again, that lug could just do with being shorter. To be honest, if I was doing it again, I might just try and make that lug a little bit smaller. There we go. Once it's in, it's fine. There we go. Hey, that's looking better. I've just got to get the LED one through, and we're away. Okay, so the way I've come up with doing this, well actually it was that good lady of mine helped here, was I've put a bit of cotton around the end here. I've gone through this, the two wires, and then tied it on the front so that when I pull it, it'll pull the connector straight. If you tie it around the back end, it will twist the connector and try and pull it. Don't think that's going to work. And I've just got a heavy sort of duty needle, for want of a better term. I'm sure there's a more technical word for it. But hopefully the weight will draw the cable down. Left it long enough so that it will actually go through. There we are, we're through. So don't know if you can see that. It's in the wrong place, of course, but it is through. So it does work. Probably that's better. I've just got to get that out of there. It's quite a fiddle, but I don't know. I don't know how else you could do it. If you've got a better idea, then please share it. There we go. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, I've got enough just to pull that through, and I've got enough gap. It is tight, but just to be warned. After all, I've done it round the wrong way. Hang on a minute, I can just unplug it that end. Let's see how we go, shall we? Brilliant. All this forethought. There we go. Well, the theory's working so far. The way I actually did that was, sorry, I had to take it off camera. There was just no way I could hold it there, to be honest. Was just as it gets stuck on, there's a big bit of insulation here, a sort of shrink wrap. Once it gets to there, just pull the motor back out and it draws that out with it as well. So that did work. And as you spotted the deliberate mistake, this is at the wrong end. I'm just going to unplug that and plug it back in there. Or you could redo it all if you were having so much fun you needed to. Okay, so I did just unplug it at the other end, plug it in here. So it's only a bit of cable, so that's fine. Just about to reassemble. Got some thread lock, blue thread lock, or Loctite, whatever you want to call it. I'm not entirely convinced they had it on these ones, but I'm just going to nip it up just a little tiny bit. I'm just going to put a tiny bit on there because they are very fast spinning motors. Slight bit of vibration could take it off, so I think I'd rather do that and just put it back together. I'm not tightening these up, but just literally just getting them in really. Get them all in and then tighten them all up. Tighten up the diagonals usually is the way to do it. And just like so, just the tiniest little bit of thread lock in there. There we go, and then just tighten them up, usually across the diagonal, so I've got a little bit of tightness in there. There we go. And they're not going anywhere. They've got spring washers in there anyway, so it shouldn't really be a problem. And then literally got to pop this bit back in and just feed that wire back through. And then we got this with a little lugs and shows you which way it does up, is that way. So we're going to pop that in to there. Oh, there we go. Oh, crackies. A lot easier than when you're trying to get it apart. Yeah, it does move slightly, but I don't think it's going to come out. Let me just check that on the other ones. Sorry, that is actually a clip into there. Right. So that does actually clip and then it doesn't move. So just to make sure that's like that. And then, hey, look at that. It's all looking good. Okay, just now need to reattach the arm, feed the cables through where they were before. There we go. Okay, I had to do that off camera because I was trying to hold this down and do all sorts of things. A key thing to remember here is it doesn't need to be overly tight. It's held with the thread lock in there basically. If you tighten it right up, you can't move the arm, so it will squeeze in. So just nipped up tight, you can feel it, and you've got the other ones to compare it to as well. So I'm literally just going to connect everything back up, put the lid back on, and then hopefully we're back in business. There we go. I noticed some of these, I don't know if you can see that, some of these disappear inside, some sit out on the top, so obviously it doesn't make any difference, and just make sure you haven't damaged any of the outside. If not, I'd just put an extra, that's not going to touch anywhere. There we go, yay! So that's all working, and like I say, that clicks in and out, no problem at all. And when I compare it to the other ones, it seems exactly the same sort of tension, so it's important that you do that. And I'm just going to put the lid back on. And little tip, I didn't need to take the landing gear off. Actually, I thought that was going to release the bottom bit, but you honestly don't need to. So there we go, let's get this all back together. So let's just pop that back on. So there's lots of little lugs and everything you've got to line up. And the other thing I noticed, there's a big hole there, is pop the switch back in. And that's just a little, you can feel it sort of pop there. That just needs to make sure that's in the correct position. Everything else seems to line up nicely, which you should do really. After I've pulled it all apart, you do wonder with these things sometimes whether or not you'll ever get them back together. And then obviously once the screws go in, they're going to pull it up tight anyway. But make sure it's all lined up first before you put the screws in, otherwise you're just going to strain it. When anything isn't quite going, make sure you give it a gentle little wiggle, make sure it is all sitting together happy, otherwise you're just probably going to break some lugs off and damage it. There we go, you can hear it sort of, now it's getting to its position all round, it's starting to click in everywhere, there we go. Well, actually the screws aren't actually going to do an awful lot, but they're going back on, that's for sure. There we go. That's pretty good actually, yeah, I like that. Just giving that a general look round, it is nice and everything's sat in. You can hear the last creaks going on. Now nothing's creaking or moving. There we go, let's just pop that down there. Let's just pull those out of the way. And then I've just got the 10 screws to put in, put the landing gear back in, and we're away. And these don't have any thread lock on them or anything, so don't seem to need it. Okay. I usually find the easiest is just to hold it on your finger like that, and everyone's got their own technique. It's just, I found that pretty good. And I tend not to tighten them up. I just get 2 or 3 threads in and then just get them all in and then go around and sort of tighten them up at diagonals. Whether or not you need to, I don't know, but then if anything is slightly out of a line, it should pull it in. If you start tightening all at one end and then go through, by the time you get to the other end, if something's out, you're going to have a problem. But perhaps that's not the way to do it, I don't know. So it was a bit of a relief when everything lines up, because you know you've pretty much got it all sorted anyway, so that's good. Yeah, it's not too tight because you're just going to strip the plastic if you go ridiculous with it. So, and there's no need to, because there's 10 of them, so it's going to hold it pretty well. As far as I can see, the landing gear is not handed, and I wouldn't have thought it would have been. There's no need for it to be. It's just a simple slide in, like we did before. There we go. And simply pop the battery back in. Okay, if you want to check out your landing gear without actually flying, just in case you want to make sure it's going to come back up and go back down again, if I flick it up and down, nothing's going to happen obviously while it's this way round. That way you're not going to damage your camera. But I've actually taken the camera off just to double check it. And if I turn the hex upside down, and now if I flick the switch, actually all works fine. So it's a way of checking it. Might also be a way of, if you've got a flat pack that you want to put it all in, you could probably pack it like that as well. So there we go, it's just that simple. Just turn it upside down, it works with or without the camera.